I'm going to take you through today a Pilates sequence for after you have been sitting, either sitting at a desk, sitting at a table, or riding a bike, or maybe even sitting in a car. This is a great way to reverse those postures and get you fired up in your back line. So after doing that for a period of time, it's a good idea to drop down onto a mat and spend this next 10 minutes working on the opposite movement groups. So what we're going to do is start lying on our side, and you want to try and create a little waist underneath you, so we've got a perfect neutral spine. Straight away we're going to go into some activation, so our feet are going to lift up, keep that waist, and you're going to open up through the top knee, and you're just going to hold it. As you're holding it, you're pressing your heels together. You should feel both bottoms start to work. This is a great way to tip your pelvis into more of a neutral position. I bet if you've been sitting for any length of time, your tailbone has tucked underneath you and you've started to round your lower back. This is a great way to reverse that. So keeping your posture, maintaining this open range, we're just going to hold it pressed together for 30 seconds. And then we're going to take it into small inner range pulses. If those muscles weren't recruited already, they definitely will be after this. So think of this or any activation sequence as a switching on, a firing up, a preparation for what next is to come. Keep that bottom leg as still as possible as we work through 30 seconds on the top leg. Pulsing through. Keeping your waist lifted. And down. Now we're going to take it all the way through onto our forearms. So we're going to work on that same leg. So it's really good here when you're on your forearms. It's quite hard to round the low back. And that's again the opposite posture of where we're trying to go. So we're going to just try and let the pelvis tip forwards into more of a neutral position. Same leg as what you were just working, we're going to push it up towards the ceiling. So working through the hip, trying to get that back line switched on. Totally normal to feel the other hip start to work as well. So you'll feel those glutes come on as they work to stabilise you. Glance down and make sure that right thigh bone is vertical. And we're going to try and work around 30 seconds on each exercise, or 20 repetitions if it's easier for you to count in time. The idea being we get this tissue overload, so they all accumulate, they add up to keep that sequence going, to get that same muscle group working throughout the 10 minutes. Now we're going to take the leg up and we're going to hip twist to the side. So we're going to take the knee out and in. Again, no movement through your body. You should feel your tummy coming on. It's a great one for your upper back. Keeping that postural length through the top of your head and the chest lifted. Don't let your body sink down and your shoulders creep up towards your ears. Keep lifted up away from the floor. Last few. And down, taking it onto our hands and knees. We're going to go through a few pelvic tilts. So we're going to tuck under our tailbone and then release the tailbone. Notice how I'm not moving my upper back. I'm trying to keep my upper back as still as possible, just moving from my tail. This is just finding that movement, preparing you for the next little bit, which is going to be a loaded tilt. Notice how it feels in either direction. Can you isolate this to your low back, or is the whole body kicking in? Stabilise that and bring it just to the low back. Okay, next 30 seconds. We're going to tuck under our tailbone. We're going to fire into the belly, draw up and in and hover your knees just 1 inch up off the mat. And then you're going to pelvic tilt again. Tail out, tail under. Tail out, tail under. Small little movements. Get the front and back working together. Can't quite do 30 seconds, that's totally fine. Do as long as you can and build up to it. Let's do another 5 tilts. 4. Try to keep those knees just 1 inch off of the floor. They want to creep up, don't they? And down. Now we're going to lie completely down on our mat, hands by our heads.
We're going to slide the tail down towards the feet to create a little space underneath our belly, and then work on all of your back muscles, floating your body up off of the floor, squeezing your shoulder blades down, and then come down. It's important on this one that you feel your back working, but no pain. If you feel pain in one particular spot, perhaps that part of your back is doing a lot of the work. See if you can share the load with another area. So I for sure can feel this central part of my low back working. If I think about lifting that part up off the floor and extending above that point, I don't feel it coming on at all. I've shifted it to make sure all of the muscles are working, not just that one. Again, taking you through your 30 seconds. And then back through. So now we're going to come back through our forearms, tail in neutral, and we're going to go through the right leg. So the right leg's going to kick to the ceiling and down. Lift up and lower. Glance down, make sure that left thigh bone is vertical. Keep working on around 30 seconds, 20 repetitions. Try not to rest between each exercise so that you get that tissue overload. And the best use of your time, squeezing it all into these 10 minutes. Last few. Now we're going to hip twist that leg, so we're going to take it up. We're going to keep the foot still and the knees going to go out and in, making sure the rest of the body isn't following it, and watching my arms and making sure that I've got even weight across both arms. The left thigh bone needs to be vertical, and again your neck is long, so you get used to this, lifting your neck up off the floor, not shrugging into your shoulders and collapsing there. Keep long and lifted. Last 5. And 1. Straight in. We're going to change ends of our mat to work on the right hand side. So our waist is lifted, our feet are up off of the floor, head is down, and the top knee is going to open up. Press our heels together. I'm definitely feeling that back line has worked already, and you're nearly there. Keep that bottom waist lifted. So you've got that neutral spine, completing the sequence on the right side. Squeeze those heels together. Try and drive both heels into one another, so it's not all just coming from the right leg, but the left side is also working too. Like when you're driving or when you're sitting or when you're riding a bike, you want to try and work both sides symmetrically. Problems can start to come when we're overusing on one side or we cross our legs perhaps. This keeps everything symmetrical. Now we're going to open and close through that top knee, the counting of 20 repetitions or around 30 seconds. Just as it starts to tire, we change the exercise. We recruit slightly differently so you can keep going, you can keep working it. Keeping those ribs in. Last few. And then we're going to roll onto our backs. Okay, so last one here. We're going to press our feet down into the floor. We're going to lift all the way up, opening up the front of the body, strengthening into the back line. We're just going to hold it up here. So working on that endurance again, that isometric hold. Shouldn't be painful. Your pubic bone should be higher than your rib cage. We're not trying to lift and overextend that rib cage. Just find your neutral line. So there should be a pretty much straight line running through your shoulder, hip and knees, straight diagonal line. Keeping that lift, ribs come down, firing up that whole back line. Notice where you feel it the most. Make sure you're not pushing yourself up the mat, that's all quads. Hold on to yourself, so use your hamstrings to keep you still, not push away. Hold it here. And now the last one, press your hands up to fire up your belly, fold at the hips, lift up. Fold at the hips and lift. Working up through the hips, get that whole back line working. Tummy coming on, pressing your hands together. Try not to roll, not sequence down one vertebra at a time. It's a hip hinge. Slightly different to a Pilates bridge. If you've done that before, one vertebra lifting at a time. Try and rewire that. Hinge from the hips. Feel it through your low back into your bottom and hamstrings. Give me 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come down. So good. Okay, now hold on behind your leg and you're going to straighten that leg up towards the sky. You'll notice I've put my other leg down straight. That's to try and stop me from tucking my tailbone underneath. Pressing that leg away into my hands, rolling my shoulders back. We hold this stretch for as long as we can. You're aiming for 1 to 2 minutes on each side, getting that muscle creep. Make sure you do both sides and you can continue to alternate for as long as your time allows until one day that leg comes completely straight without your back pressing into the mat. Still got a few degrees to go. Good work. So see if you can get into the habit of reversing your posture, whatever it is that where you spend your time. See if you can do the opposite movement afterwards, so you're more well-rounded in your strength.